beginning to wonder what was more exceptional when Stephen Ross sat down with Joe Philbin across the table and said, "Oh, that's my man," after listening to Joe. Or was he more excited when he heard Mike McDaniel say things like that? Mike, how would you face your team after a small, short, hopefully losing streak? And he says something like that, and Stephen Ross says, "This is the guy. Get the contract." Hey, Garfunkel, get in here with the contracts.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I'm telling you, Lubie, I tried to get a hold of him. I really did. His address is parts unknown. We're talking about Godfrey Lovejoy, who was going to come on the program this morning. Rumor has it that he is somewhere in New Orleans, that he's in Louisiana, because he figures that's a bigger losing situation than even the Miami Dolphins, who have 2 wins on the season. That's amazing, huh? The Miami Dolphins, 2-win team, 2-7 through 9 games. Last night, a disaster. Morning, everybody. Good to have you guys with us. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz, young Luca Lubitz, part of the show today.
It was a fun night with Luca, so we're crossing our fingers that he's
always off the side, though. I mean, this is a very humble performer, Luca Lubitz. Doesn't even mind not being on camera. Perfectly content just to produce from the sidelines. All right, what are we producing? Even Godfrey probably was stuck for things to say now. I mean, how many ways can you put it? The team just stinks. It's unfortunate. 6 points in the ball game. No points in the second half. Started out great. Looked like Mike McDaniel had figured something out. He has a couple of signature things that he does, McDaniel, with Tua that actually look really good, doesn't he? That first play when he did a couple of little flips and fakes, and then he makes it look like he's lost the football, and then he fires one down the middle. And it goes for 20 yards, and you're watching the team just march right down the field. But you know a couple of things about Mike McDaniel. He hates field goals.
Yes.
And he doesn't really care for field position as much as some coaches used to value it, where he's always going for these 4th and 1s. And I don't know what the percentage is. It can't be favorable, is it? The 4th and 1. Now, you can't count this latest one, which was a tragedy, where not only does the offensive lineman, Borum, is that the guy's name? Borum the Tears? Borum? He's victimized the team with a false start, or he victimizes the team with a false start. They go from a 4th and 1, which did you have the feeling they were going to make that, Lubie?
No.
Looked like it. No, you thought they would fail in that spot?
Yes.
And you're always thinking, and McDaniel is not one to just feign like he's going for it and then try to draw the other team off sides. He's going for it. So false start knocks it back to a 4th and 6. They settle for a field goal, trying, a guy misses. Essentially, silly mistakes like that all throughout the ball game. Really, I mean, you talk about impeding a team's chances. The Dolphins outgained the Ravens in the first half of that game, 226 to 109. In terms of yardage gain. But you had a Washington fumble deep in their own end, which the Ravens pick it up, and I think they were, about the 8 or 9 yard line by the time they settle things down after the fumble recovery, and they knock it in for the score on a 4th down play. So there were the Dolphins with a chance maybe at a little bit of early game redemption. They're still only down 14-6 at the half in spite of a couple of atrocities, including, once again, I mean, why doesn't Mike McDaniel like field goals? What's wrong with being down 14-9 instead of 14-6? Now, if you a touchdown, you don't need the 2-point conversion, and you win the game.
That one play getting called back on, it was a rare time that even the announcers were like, yeah, that's not a penalty. There was nothing illegal there at all. When Gordon went to the ground, made no contact with the defender jumped over him, which is perfectly legal. If you're on the ground, the guy jumps over you, there's no penalty there.
He did make contact with the guy. I don't think he jumped completely over.
I don't know. It did look like there was not.
It was very suspect. Look, it was unintentional, but can you legislate and administrate intent on things like that? You're trying to take shot blocking out of the game. And, I mean, it appeared he tripped the guy up by being on the ground. Suspect call, no doubt about it.
I mean, even the announcers, the ref guy was like, yeah, that's horrendous. But they actually still move the ball that drive. They get into field goal range. They get inside the 20. And, yes, you want a touchdown there. But you know what? get the field, at least get the on 4th and 2 to just chuck it in the end zone. Like,
That was a horrible.
just dumb. And then from that moment on, it was just I went to bed. Like literally, they get the stop, they get the ball back. I'm like, oh my god, they have 45 seconds. They have a timeout because they got the penalty to stop the clock. And instead of fielding it at the 30 and returning it to the 50, Washington lets it bounce and gets tackled at the 30 after futzing around. I literally went to bed then. Right then, I was like, oh, that's it. I'm like, they're not even going to do anything with the ball here. I wonder if they score again. I really thought they would have. Lo and behold, no, they don't. They didn't score again.
Oh, he really put a lid on it on that drive, too. Not a great time to get incredibly conservative with Mike McDaniel. And after the ball game, I mean, he was just a bumbling fool. So how much longer is the question? How long can this keep going on? How much longer does this continue? The Chris Grier thing, look, 6 years into the Tua residency, if you will, the Tua era here in Miami, you can't possibly be optimistic because if you're watching this team play, what is it that you have to make you think, okay, it doesn't look great right now, but we're heading in the right direction? Do you have any inclination? Are there any possible indicators that this thing is going to turn around anytime soon?
No.
I don't know, right?
I saw Ian Rappaport say yesterday that Mike McDaniel is not safe. He is clearly on a hot seat. What the Dolphins are looking for, I think, is weird that they're like, well, the thing for them is, does he lose the locker room? If the players are with him or not, well, to me, a performance like that shows clearly he doesn't have.
Didn't appear to be a lot of fight in that team. Would you say that's a fair statement, Lubie?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they hung around the first half. The defense was actually okay, and the offense moved the ball. But to come out in the second half and lay an egg like that, to me, that's where the heart is of a team. That's where the fight is, like you just said, or lack thereof, for a team is or isn't. To me, like most of us were already getting rid of Grier McDaniel. I think finally Ross, like after games like that, where
who was the guy that was sitting next to Ross briefly? He looked like some New York businessman. I don't know what Stephen Ross was telling him. What did he tell him? What does Garfinkel say to him the entire time? That Garfinkel guy is sitting right next to Ross. No, they've been wildly successful with what they've done.
Financially, yes.
The franchise is worth 10 times what he paid for it, probably.
100%.
I don't know if it's 10 times, but substantially more than he paid for it.
He paid $1 billion, and it's worth at least 8.
Okay, so I mean that's
they now have the Grand Prix crap. They do soccer stuff. They do like the tennis, which they have contracts. Like these are big money things that he and Garfinkel and their team have brought in. And yes, it's worth it. Remember, land now what land's worth compared to when he bought it 20 years ago. Like, no, it's worth a lot more than when he bought it.
A brilliant job of investing and advancing on his investment. It's not like he sat chilly there.
No.
He did all of this stuff. Look, what was it risky? I don't know what the level of financial risk was to put in the tennis tournament there, but he did it. And did it, no doubt, at great expense, making a conversion. And then the Formula One thing, clearly a stroke of visionary genius there on the part of one Art Garfunkel, the president of business operations there. But how do you sit? I mean, it's weird because these guys are incredibly successful at a lot of different things, and yet they sit there and watch this trek. And Marino is stressed out; he's going to need Valium. Poor Danny boy, he doesn't like to lose.
No. He does not look happy. That's the thing is like all these people that are like, well, he just doesn't have people around, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he has some, like Marino is as competitive as anyone.
I have no idea what's going on. I mean, he can't be clueless as to what needs to be done. Dan Marino, he was.
Or look, I don't know if he knows what guy to go get, fine. But he knows what's not working. Like he definitely knows if anyone knows what's not working, it's Dan Marino. Like he knows for sure what this is and what it isn't. Like that's like to me, it's this thing where you hear, oh, he likes McDaniel. And what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, what is that in a job? Like, okay, who cares? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Andy says Garfunkel was sitting there humming 50 Ways to Lose at Football to Stephen Ross. It didn't look very festive in the booth there. They look very long-faced and drawn and worn out. And the problem is, this is 6 years into this Tua thing, and the direction is spiraling out of control in a downward direction. 2-7 is just pathetic. Think about this. Even Godfrey Lovejoy, he was looking at New Orleans, like I said. He's looking at Tennessee, maybe to attach himself there, because and the New York Jets. Truly pathetic situation. So the Dolphins give you rise for hope with their performance against what happens to be a very Jekyll and Hyde like Atlanta Falcons team.
Yes.
It is the same Falcons team. You have to continue to remind yourself that lost 30-0 to Carolina when Carolina was winless on the season.
Yep.
2-7. My God, how rank is that? I couldn't have imagined this being a 4 or 5 win team, Lubie. I didn't picture that. I have to admit that I was completely buffaloed by whatever rhetoric was going around. And we watched the team go 8-9 last year and thought that was an adjunct failure. So how could you possibly have anticipated that they would get worse from there? Supposedly, I don't know. They didn't. They did a few things in the offseason, none of which seemed to be incredibly significant in terms of changing the dynamic of the team. They do lose Tyreek Hill. I don't know how much of an excuse you can make because they were lousy when they had him. So these lackluster efforts, though, I think they need to take all of the film and destroy it. And just watch a bunch of Arturo Gatti fights. I mean, come on. You're in the second half of a ball game, and look, they rarely receive the opening kickoff. They won the toss, and they elected to take the kickoff because I guess the thinking would be keep Lamar Jackson off the field and maybe put some points on the board, which they did.
Yes.
I didn't keep the ball all that long. It was a few-minute drive, but they marched it down the field in pretty efficient fashion, ended up stalling out and kicked a field goal, and you're on the board, 3-0. Good. If you're laying or getting 7.5, which a lot of people were, maybe even 8, you're thinking, look at that, Lubie, I'm up 11.
Mm-hmm.
But that quickly, that feeling dissipated. And especially, I mean, they stopped them on a 3-and-out. It looks like Lamar Jackson's probably going to have to take some time to shake off a bunch of ring rust and come right back and fumble the ball. That was unfortunate because that kid had been pretty good. You say he made another blunder on the kickoff return?
Well, on the kickoff before half, the punt, like he had he was seeing it around the 30, and it was like, and he had room. I'm like, okay, so you can get to the 40 to the 50 with 45 seconds left. They had a timeout, or 40 seconds left. They have a timeout. Like you can go make up for that field goal you didn't get. Okay, 14-9. You're okay. I didn't realize they fumbled because we were driving back from Landlubbers. Like, so you overcome a fumble. You are struggling to get touchdowns. 14-9. Okay. He misreads the ball. It bounces. He goes and gets it inside the 20 and then gets back to, like, I guess, right before the 30. But once that happened, and I guess I was right, it's like, yeah, there's no way they're doing anything with this ball. like they're not even trying. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Mike. Shake
that was the whole second half. Like, that's crazy to me that they didn't.
And it's not like you're in a contention for a championship here. I mean, you're talking about trying to win your third game of the season. Exactly. 6 losses. You're a 333 team if you win that ball game. Well, let's go for it.
When you can't feel safe, like as bad as Ross is, even Ross, this is usually where he gets rid of the coach. Now, what bothers me more is that Chris Grier's name is suddenly not, like, up until the last month, it was Grier McDaniel.
Unless Grier is in the Epstein files, he's not getting fired.
I don't get it.
I mean, you would have to think that change is coming.
It's so weird. Like, all you do is hear McDaniel's name. You don't hear Grier's name at all. And it's like, look, at this point, it's clear McDaniel has to go. But I think if he had the right GM, he may have been the guy. Like, I think he is innovative. I think he is creative. I just think he's in over his head and he's not ready. But if he had the right GM and the right pieces, maybe it would have prodded him along a little bit better. Now it's clear he's lost. It's clear he's not whatever people like. And I love Dave Hyde, and he was like, yeah, they respect him. I don't believe that even for a second. Like, all we've heard is negatives about him, and all you can see is a team that doesn't respect him. I mean, it doesn't look like they respect him at all.
It just looks like he's falling apart.
Yeah.
So you could see with Brian Kelly and his press conferences after LSU games that something was going on there. Could you not tell? I mean, look, after the fact, it's easy to say, oh, yeah, well, we saw this coming. But we had commented on it. Even this guy was irascible. Even after wins, he seemed to be extremely irritated at these post-game press conferences. Maybe because the demands in terms of the type of questions that were being posed pissed them off. You win a ball game and people are talking about, oh, you're happy with the running game? You only had 39 yards.
Yeah.
So, but he seemed to have a little bit of a short fuse for a guy, even after wins. But you could kind of sense something was up in that organization.
Yes.
wasn't particularly comfortable for Brian Kelly because he hadn't really been like that in the past on a regular basis. Even after losses, I don't remember him being that kind of sort of cantankerous, contentious post game press conference guy. McDaniel, I mean, he's just fumbling and bumbling and stumbling. Do we have any post game McDaniel? Because
I just have the
I
same.
heard a little somewhere. I was half awake watching the news after, and they had the McDaniel press conference, and I'm thinking, my God, this guy is speaking in tongues. It's only a matter of time before he goes into the prayer over wine.
He starts doing Hebrew.
Yeah. That's what it's going to be. You're going to be sitting there going, "Hey, Mike, what about the chances of stopping Derrick Henry?"
Like, okay.
What holiday is that, man? The prayer over wine.
That's every holiday. It's every week.
When is that? Every holiday you got
every holiday. I mean, you pray for wine and pray over bread.
I pray for wine almost every day.
Yeah, exactly, daily.
It's Halloween, and so the scary fact is that the Miami Dolphins are just a bad team, and I don't know. We can agonize over it all you want, but almost everything is in the negative column. You would have to say.
Mm-hmm.
A disgraceful performance. Second time in the last 3 weeks, they've only put up 6 points with this genius offense. And no matter what, if Tua, he has not been injured, he has been getting enough time to throw the football.
Yeah, the line's been okay.
Line's
not
been
great, but okay.
In that regard. A-Chain is a legitimate NFL type.
He's interesting. I mean,
he's a legitimate commodity in the NFL, I think. And Waddle, we know, can distinguish himself. It seems like they keep coming up with tight ends. What are they getting out of a taxi cab that are making catches? And so they have some things, but to put up 6 points, 2 games out of 3, not exactly the kind of stuff that ignites you to think that, well, it's a hell of a second half. I don't even see the play in spoiler, do you?
No, I mean, I don't know what the goal is the rest of the year, to be really honest. Like, again, and I didn't expect him. I expected that game to be, that's what I expected, but it's still disheartening to see it. Like, it's still.
And where's the plan headed is the other thing.
Well, that's it. Yeah, they just don't have
directions in 6 years, and it's not.
They don't have star power. They just don't have guys that make things happen. Again, that's why it goes back to Grier. McDaniel, yes, at this point, again, you wouldn't call him a shot fighter, call him whatever you want. I think he'll be fine as his career goes on, go back to being an OC, and then get with a real GM. But it's Grier. It starts with Grier and it ends with Grier to me. There's major holes in this organization that have been there for years. That, yes, the line's better, but it's not good. Like the lines,
they just appear to be soft. And
they exactly. Yeah. And when games are tight, they fold. And that's not just on the coach; that's on the players. They do not push each other. It's just
seem resigned to losing, even though they're in this ball game. I mean, you're down. I hate this terminology. You're down 1 score, Lubie.
No, they were within the game until the second half, and then it just fell apart. It just feels like you need an overhaul. And you have an owner not willing to do it for some reason. The Grier stuff, I'll never get why Grier is so safe. He literally,
clearly he's been a failure. You would have to say
it's made history. A guy that's been a GM this long and never won 1 playoff game. That's never happened. A guy's never had a GM job this long and never not won. You fall ass backwards. If you're a GM for 10 years, you have won. Again, we've seen like the Browns win a playoff game by accident. Like teams find a way to win 9-6 in a play. Like, to be a GM for 10 years and the owner be willing to let you go any path you want with multiple coaches now.
He's had draft picks. He's had
and to not win 1 playoff game in the NFL. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's really weird. It's weird to me that he is still, all you hear now is McDaniel and they put him out there and he looks lost. Where's Grier? He never talks. He never has to stand up for being as horrible as he is.
McDaniel was ready to snap last night. He's at the breaking point. I really believe he's at.
I don't even blame him. Like, again, all we've heard from people is, okay, well, Grier lets the coach do what they want to do. Why? I understand the coach and the GM have to work together, but then what is your point? Then you're just a glorified scout. Like,
do we know how to make one of those AI things? Can we do one of those AI press conferences with McDaniel, where he curses everybody out and then actually starts calling people out?
I wouldn't even mind it because he's going to go down with the ship, but it's not all on him. I would only put like 25% on it. It's mostly Grier. Like, Grier's put him in a really bad spot.
Awful leadership.
he's never there to take the fall either. That's the thing. That yes, the
Where is he? Yeah, when's his last press conference?
But you see them, you hear from them. You never Ross too. Once in a while, you'll see you never hear from anyone but McDaniel. They put him out there on a stake.
And he has no explanation for this. How do you explain it? You're just getting thumped as a matter of routine by teams. Look, the Ravens were staggering around. Maybe they're finding themselves a little bit. They did get Lamar Jackson back. He was great last night. I didn't realize. Didn't you always think of him as a somewhat inaccurate passer? He throws these weird, from style points, a style point standpoint. Jackson isn't. How did he ever win an MVP? He sort of like pushes the ball and throws it like
his accuracy was an issue early on because his athleticism. He could ride that, but
he was hitting everything.
Again, and people like me have had to shut up. He was from the pocket. He was like the best percentage quarterback from the pocket last year. Like you can't, like even I've had to shut up about it. Like the guy is
nice balls last night.
A great all around quarterback. He's smart. He doesn't make mistakes. Yes, they haven't won the big game, but if you watch, they get a lot of weird breaks that are like Henry, who hasn't fumbled in 14 years, fumbles at the goal line. Like a lot of it's not Lamar Jackson's fault. And I've given him a lot of crap. And even in those games, they usually come back. They're usually a play or two away from winning the game. Like Lamar Jackson's not that dude. He's become a team leader. Like he probably could have missed another game or two, but he was itching to get out there. And look, if he's not out there, the Dolphins may have won that game. Like Lamar Jackson is a top 3-4 quarterback in the league, and he doesn't get help from his team a lot of the time. And look, as good as Harbaugh is, a lot of the time, they've sort of just built a product around him and just let him go. And it's sort of left him hanging a lot. Like getting Derrick Henry was huge, but the receiving core has always been subpar. Like they'll go and get a guy that's really a third best receiver on another team.
Zay Flowers is pretty good. No,
Zay Flowers is a nice receiver, but he's not number one. Like Zay Flowers is like what Waddle would be. Like he's like your number. He's not a guy that's going to go down in the middle of double coverage and go make like he's like 5. He's like 6 foot.
Yeah, he's not Randy Moss. Sure.
So they've always struggled to get him that guy. Look, put Mike Evans with Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, and let's see what Lamar Jackson, like he's never had that guy. So and I've been as tough on Lamar Jackson as anyone because he doesn't win the Super Bowl. But you know what? When they're versus the Chiefs and they're about to go in and take a lead, and the guy fumbles it at the goal, like you can't blame Lamar Jackson for that. Like that's not his fault. You can blame Tua for being inaccurate. You can blame. I don't know. No, I thought they'd lose big. I said it yesterday. I said once Lamar Jackson was playing, they were going to lose big. It's just annoying to see that. I'd love to be disproved. Like to go and watch them do exactly what you think they're going to do outside of one game this year. It's not only disheartening, it's just dumb. And the fact that, again, fine, just suck. I said I don't want them making any in-season changes. Let them ride it out. Let them be really bad. But then you have to get rid of both of them. You can't just get rid of McDaniel and like Grier sits there safe for no reason at all.
A professor weighing in here. We're going to bring him into the show. He says he's caught in a time warp here. We may be.
Yeah, did I walk into a show from 2 years ago? I got Lubie ranting like he expected anything other than that from last night. And Defo questioning Lamar Jackson.
I don't remember him being that. I mean, he has a funny style. No, and I don't remember him being that accurate.
His release is somewhat awkward looking. I mean, I don't know.
He was great last night.
But at this point, I mean, the guy's one of the top 2 or 3 passers in the league. Like, I mean, 100%. We've talked about it before. At some point during your career, you are what your numbers say you are. Not your film, not your potential, not how you look. You are what the numbers say you are. And in Lamar Jackson's case, he's an MVP caliber quarterback. And the Miami Dolphins are what the numbers say they are, which is just a rotten football team. I, for one, thought we were entering that point of the season where the Dolphins are going to screw up the draft pick, where we're going to go from like a top 3 pick to like number 10 or 11 and get into Tannehill country again, where we're like, well, there's not a future Hall of Fame style player at our pick, so let's take a quarterback and hope for the best. So I was totally pleased with that.
I wasn't.
No, I mean, look, you're at the point of the season. You're not making the playoffs. If you do make the playoffs, by some miracle,
I would say
you're going to lose by 300 in the first playoff game. Like, all you have to play for it this season is to get the best draft pick possible so that in a year where there is not a franchise quarterback in the draft, you can get a Reuben Bain or a Caleb Downs or one of these guys, and there aren't that many in this draft class where you feel I can plug and play this guy and he's going to be in 5 Pro Bowls. And again, it's not that deep a class in terms of those kind of guys. So if you fall into like pick 8, pick 10, because you randomly win 5 or 6 games, you're kind of screwing yourself.
That's what they'll end up doing then. There's no
yeah, probably. It's
definitive leadership they have, because you can readily see where they have a stated philosophy and approach, and they're following this model to a T.
Yeah.
By the way, with that film that came out this week of Stephen Ross yelling at his pilot and his ground services people with his plane because his car was parked too far from his private jet, can we start acknowledging that there's a possibility that Stephen Ross just sucks? Like, Billy Corben's been talking about it for years, that he's not like doing it with like tax dollars. But he's been screwing the city of Miami for decades with these delayed tax offsets and whatnot. He's been advised every time he does a deal with the city, he manages to grab like another 200 acres for some stupid bullshit like an F1 track. Like, brought that dumb race that anybody sane was like, really? We're gonna hold a freaking car race in the middle of summer outside when it's 160 degrees outside, and you're selling $200 bowls of sushi to these rich jerk offs. Can we acknowledge that, like, we've all tried to like him because he seems to spend whatever money we want him to spend on the Miami Dolphins? Can we acknowledge that he's part of the problem, that maybe Stephen Ross just sucks? That, like, you're the one who's kept Chris Grier around for 15 years of terrible draft picks, of being incompetent. Like, you guys all wanted McDaniel out this season. Stephen Ross backs him at every opportunity. Like, at some point, I think we have to acknowledge, much like we did with Huizinga at the end, that ownership is part of the problem, no matter how many dollars he throws around.
It's wild. I mean, look, if you're just allowing this kind of thing to fester, it's never been worse. I mean, you're 6 years into this whole business with Tua, and you clearly have. I mean, what is the plan?
I mean, again, let's go back to the beginning of the Tua project. You couldn't hire a coach to lose games, even though you offered him $100,000 bonus for every loss. Like, why didn't you come to me? I could have, I would have
to bring back Adam
I would have run reverses on every play. I would have run trick plays on every play. It just got by. Like, I would have gone 0-17, no problem.
We would have made sure that everybody knew the sign.
I would have faked every punt. I would have broken out, and I would have been an entertaining 0-17.
Might have even leaked the plays through the headsets to the other team. Just let them in on your calls.
You're going to pay me an extra $1.6 million, $1.7 million to lose every game? No problem. Job done.
Signing Jonte Porter right away to be a wide receiver.
And can we go to the weirdest sports story maybe ever that I just learned yesterday, because everybody on Twitter was flashing pictures of Sydney Sweeney at this women's empowerment thing where she showed up, where she showed up braless and a see-through top, and it was a women's empowerment dinner for some reason. She showed up with her boobs out. Did you know, Defo, that Sydney Sweeney's new movie is a biopic of Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter? You knew this?
Yeah.
How is that your pick to play Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter? Like, I remember her being...
they had a picture of the actual Christy Martin as she appears today, and this young actress, and they were sitting next to each other at the Dodgers World Series game. And you can't imagine that the one played the other. I mean,
I remember Christy Martin being more physically attractive than the average boxer, and by the average boxer, I mean Julio Cesar Chavez. But I don't remember her being some buxom blonde bombshell. And when I say Christy Martin was more attractive than the average boxer, I mean probably not more attractive than Donnie Lalonde.
No, not even close.
Like, how is Sydney Sweeney playing this woman in a movie? How does that make any sense in the world? Who cares?
Art of makeup, I guess. I don't know. It would seem like they were very unrelatable characters, but apparently they get along famously, because they're sitting there together at that Dodger game, cheering on another Dodger loss, which
It's like casting Alex Karras to play Joe Namath in a movie because that was the only football player who was acting back in the 70s.
James Wood as Joe Willie, exactly.
Yeah, I don't get that in the least.
All right, we're gonna run for a minute. We have a big boy with the professor, some college football, I'm sure that we'll get into here on the show, and we'll be right back with you, young Luka Lubitz at the controls, as Mike Lubitz is going to flip us into a break here. As we'll be back in a moment. Now that
the time,
it's 8:37.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten a sugar daddy.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Some other things, the Heat were in action last night. They lost to San Antonio 107-101. Lubie finally got his wish with Bam Adebayo, 31-10. But offset by Wemby, who's been off to an amazing start this year, 5-0 with San Antonio, 27-18 for Wemby in that ballgame last night. And of course, we've now discussed that. I don't know that you'd say ad nauseum because it's the same old song. I don't know that anything has changed. You could be taking a tape from you said 2 years ago. You could go back over the last 25, Professor. And it seems like post-Dolphin, post-mortems, obituary columns are just about the same. Like, what the hell is going on out there?
By the way, it's worth noting, Wemby last night goes 27-18, 6 assists, 5 blocks, and it's his worst game of the year because he went 10-23 from the field. I'm not even exaggerating. That is the worst game he's played. That's the level this guy has started the season out on. Like, just anything other than the expected result was, a surprise for the Spurs. Like, you talk about the last 25 years. It's the last 25 years with the Spurs. They stink for a couple seasons, and then they draft a guy who's going to win like 5 MVP awards.
Some generational talent, comes their way, and sometimes in bunches. You know what? A lot of people were expecting too. Maybe we're just always making premature evaluations because people expected a snap of the fingers when he gets on San Antonio, they're going to be good. Not everybody, but you thought they would probably.
I expected it.
Yeah, in their first year. With
I didn't expect it in the first year, but I expected pretty much exactly this timeline that it was going to be like
They were same plan the Dolphins are following with Tua.
They had a terrible year one because the rest of the roster sucked and he was young. Yeah. Year 2, they started showing signs, but he got hurt. And now year 3, he looks like the guy who's going to dominate the MVP award for the next decade. And they've thrown in a couple other lottery picks, Castle and Harper, both of whom are playing really well. And honestly, if they end up, I don't think they're winning the West because, Oklahoma City's got such a great roster. But if they're in the Western Conference Finals, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
The professor dabbling in some NBA. All right.
I find this kid fascinating. I found this kid fascinating since he was like 16 years old and showing up on YouTube. Like, Dude, and they're now saying that the listing at 7'3" is no longer accurate.
He's like 7'5". I feel like he's like 7'5".
Yeah, Windhorse says he thinks he's 7'5" now, and it's.
Wow.
I mean, he handles the ball like a wing. I mean, it's amazing.
It's not like Harold Miner, where they said he was I was standing next to him at the press conference.
Do you know I was actually at the Miami Heat draft party the night we drafted him?
We were at that. We could have met that night instead. That would have been like 20 years prior, right?
Yeah,
people were euphoric.
Who was it? Was it Robert Horry they took right before him, that the Rockets took right before him? And everybody in the arena exploded.
Yes.
Because that meant we were getting Baby Jordan.
We were getting It was relatively useless as a member of the Heat. He did win a couple of slam dunkers.
2 slam dunk contests. That was his claim to fame.
But he couldn't
All
shoot
he
a
could
lick.
do was dunk.
McClung.
All right, what are we looking at on the college slate, Professor? Anything attract your attention this week?
I mean, we're looking at who's going to get their coach fired this week, apparently.
Yeah.
Is what we're looking at. Like, that's the storyline of college football 2025 is what team's going to screw up in a loss and get their coach fired. And I hate to say it, but I think it's a chance it's going to be Lubie's Florida State Seminoles.
I hope so.
Even though they are, to me, a mind-bogglingly high point spread favorite.
They're losing.
But let's look at the slate here. Starters tonight, and I'm not making an official pick, just something to sort of keep your eye on as the day goes along. But Defo's Syracuse Orange playing the North Carolina Tar Heels in the offensively incompetent bowl. Syracuse looking helpless on the offensive side of the football since their quarterback got hurt back in week 3 against was it Duke that he got hurt against?
Early in the year, yeah. The kid was looking good too.
But not looking good. And a total of 44.5, which is actually very low for a college game, but I think very high for these two particular teams. Both of them would have trouble hanging 30 if you lock them in the building for an hour by themselves. So that's a number to keep your eye on as it goes throughout the day, but I would lean a little bit towards the under there. And then really, I think all the action tomorrow isn't during the day where we're kind of a lack of interesting games, but tons of action in the night. Start with Tennessee at Oklahoma. Tennessee laying 3.5. Oklahoma coming off a tough home loss. I think Oklahoma, their defense, which looked good at the beginning of the year, is starting to fade. And Tennessee, their offense has really gotten it on a roll. You look at Tennessee, they're one of the more interesting teams in the country because people really aren't talking about them necessarily as a playoff team. They're ranked 14th currently. But both of their losses are was a one score. Another one was determined by sort of a fluky pick 6 against Alabama. They're against top 5 teams in games where Tennessee played pretty well offensively. Only laying 3.5 at home here, I think is a very tough spot for Oklahoma. So we're going to take the Vols minus the 3.5. I would also look at the over in this one, sitting at 55.5. Two teams, their offenses are much more advanced than their defenses. Tennessee just gave up, I believe it was 35 last week to a rotten Kentucky offense. Again, a coach who could get fired this week at Kentucky should they go down to Auburn in a bad fashion. So, I guess if it's bad enough, we could see Brent Venables get his walking papers this week. So I don't know if it fits our coaches getting fired theme or not. But the Tennessee Volunteers minus 3.5 to start. And that takes us right into Wake Forest at Florida State. If you watched Wake Forest last week, they basically totally stoned an SMU offense that's very similar in terms of spread with a running quarterback to the Florida State offense. Wake Forest catching 10.5 now. Again, if you go back 20 years, that seems like a laughably low line. But Wake's actually done pretty well against Florida State over the last 20 years or so. And again, coming off a very similar performance where they held SMU to 12. I don't think necessarily Florida State is going to bounce back. I feel like after that loss to Stanford a couple weeks ago, Mike Norvell has probably lost this team. And I think, unfortunately, the FSU players understand their coach is probably cooked. There's very little chance he's going to be Florida State's coach next year, although they may run out of hiring options with everybody that's moving around. Florida State, I just don't see them hanging enough points to cover a double-digit number here. So give me Wake Forest plus the 10.5. That takes us to the next one. USC laying 4.5 to Nebraska. We've been picking on Nebraska against the spread all year. And guess what? Against the spread, it keeps working. Caught 7.5 from Northwestern last week. They failed to cover and were 21 all. Once again, they're 6-2 in terms of record, but I think they're 2-6 against the number. So USC minus 4.5. A lot of people, this number is down, by the way, it was 6.5 just the other day. A lot of people making up on this number that USC under Lincoln Riley is 1-7 when traveling 2 time zones or more. I understand that, but look a little deeper at that number. When you look at 1-7 again, 1-7 traveling 2 time zones or more, that's basically afternoon kickoffs in the Midwest. This is a 7:30 kickoff in Lincoln, Nebraska, which isn't that far a flight from Los Angeles. So I think that number's being touted a little bit too much. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even realize Lincoln, Nebraska was 2 time zones away.
How can that be 2 time zones away? Are they on their own time?
It's Midwestern time. I thought Lincoln, Nebraska would have been Mountain time, but I don't know enough about time zones apparently. But it's a nighttime kickoff, so I feel like you can almost throw that time zone factor number out. And honestly, I don't think Nebraska can score enough to keep up with the USC team. Their defense isn't great, but their offense has scored against everybody they've played this year, including Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. I think the USC looks very good, minus 4.5 there. And then it gets us to the last one, which is another mystery line to me. I know Utah looked great against Colorado last week, but Utah's playing an incompetent Colorado football team who honestly, again, talk about coaches losing their team. It looks like, to me, Deion Sanders. Now, Utah will get their QB back, but after last week, is that a good thing? I mean, the kid who replaced him ran for 140 yards and passed for like another 200 yards. I'm not sure I would be necessarily moving Dampier back in to the quarterback spot here. Plus, laying 10 and a hook to a Cincinnati team that it has become a very good football team after losing, but covering against Nebraska in week 1. And again, they probably should have won outright. If you remember, they threw an interception at the goal line at the end of that game to lose 2017. Since then, they've kind of become an offensive powerhouse. We saw them hang 38 against a very good Iowa State defense. They put 41 in a 41-20 win over Baylor. I think right at the moment, Cincinnati's got a shot to actually win the Big 12 outright. So it's a bit of a showdown game for that. But catching 10 and a hook against a Utah team that against the better competition has not always looked top notch. They got clubbed like a baby seal against Texas Tech earlier in the year. And then who was their second? Was it the BYU? I'm trying to remember. Must have been to BYU in their rivalry game, who Utah dropped their second loss. Yeah, it was BYU a couple weeks ago, 24-21. Now, they've looked good against Colorado. They look good against Arizona State without Levitt. But Arizona State, as we've seen without Levitt, they are playing Jeff Sims, the kid from Florida State. I can't believe is still in college. I feel like he was the guy after Jameis Winston at Florida State.
He never went to FSU, actually. Remember,
I know. I'm teasing because he was. Yeah. But he was sort of recruited when he was recruited.
He was high. One time. Yep.
Like he was going to Florida State. Everybody was talking about him as the next Jameis Winston. 100%. I feel like he's in college for like 10 years. And yes, to answer your question, Sarney, much to all our chagrin, the SEC is going to get 5 teams into the college playoff. I don't know which 5 it will be, but barring absolute Ragnarok in the SEC, closing weeks, a bunch of upsets, and I don't think the bottom of the SEC is actually capable of pulling upsets. Yes, the SEC is getting 5 teams in this year.
All right. Very good. Tremendous synopsis there. 4 picks from the professor, including a couple that he was startled at the gargantuan numbers that are being posted here, including
Utah's 10.5, Florida State's 10.5. I don't get those numbers at all. I feel like that's the same person who bet Florida State at 17.5 against Stanford and then didn't watch the game.
Yeah, he was losing that game.
Lubie?
No, FSU's not winning that game.
All right, let's do it. Are you ready? Do we have a big board for this week?
We do, and it requires a little preface because we have missed 2 weeks of big boards, and we missed the most Defo show story in the history of Defo show stories with this NBA gambling scale. It combines everything we love.
Yes, exactly.
Corruption, gambling, the world of rigged poker games with a coach, former, Hall of Fame player. Like, this is I can't believe we missed a show in the middle of this particular story. But it gave me time to delve deeper into a big board story. And I think we have come up with one that the FBI missed. And I'm not demanding that the FBI immediately launch an investigation. But again, we're combining all sorts of vectors here: corruption, gambling, and the one we love here at the big board, ruining your childhood. So, Lubie, if you want to pull it up, the big board investigation. Did Buddy the dog shave points in Air Bud? And we have delved deep into this.
All right, nice.
And I feel like we are going to present some very strong, and Peter Leonard randomly here, and that we sold about a year ago, Peter, but thanks for the advice.
Always caustic commentary coming from one Peter Leonard.
We think we're about to present very strong evidence that the FBI might want to look to, that Air Bud, in fact, shaved points in the movie Air Bud.
All right, this is interesting.
And that's going to start us with number 5.
Patella. Here we go.
Which, let's remember the time period. Air Bud was released in 1997, shortly after the Chicago Bulls finished their second three-peat, and right in the middle of a story we're all familiar with. And Air Bud opens with a very interesting scene here where we learn that the father of the family has just died under very strange circumstances.
Yes.
That the father of the family died as a test pilot in New Mexico in 1997, which leads me to the question, what the hell plane would you have been test piloting in New Mexico in 1997? In 1997, stealth technology was already firmly established. You wouldn't have been flying a stealth bomber tested. It was already in operation. The F-22 was like 6 years away. The F-35 was like 15 years away. And both of those planes, we weren't trying to keep secret. Before we even had prototypes, we were trying to sell them to our NATO allies. And why the hell would you fly it in New Mexico? Have you ever seen the topography of New Mexico? A satellite from Russia or China could cover all of New Mexico in like one sweep. There's no mountains to hide the plane. There's no forest, just a big barren desert. That's the reason we fly test planes in places like Utah and Colorado and even around the Grand Canyon area of Arizona, because the terrain hides them from satellites. We don't fly test planes in New Mexico. So I'm saying it's very suspicious that this father of the family actually died flying a test plane in New Mexico in 1997. And much like Michael Jordan's father, he died under very mysterious circumstances that could be, in fact, tied to a gambling ring that got exposed during the course of this movie.
Suggesting there might have been a little more juice involved than we had originally thought, too.
Well, look, let's be honest. If you have a high-level test pilot in the Air Force and he's involved in a gambling ring, the Air Force isn't going to come out and say the mafia and the bookies killed him, because then you got all sorts of defense and national security issues involved. They don't want you to know that the guy who's flying the test stealth fighter also has a gambling problem. That's a whole nother can of worms getting open. They might very well cover it up with a fake test crash in New Mexico.
Certainly an eye-opener.
Much like very unlikely that Michael Jordan's father just got randomly killed by two teenagers in a highway carjacking in North Carolina. Those are very suspicious circumstances that lead to some extra questions. And number 2, we all know that exposure to crime, we're learning, honestly, with this latest NBA gambling ring, a lot of it has to do with socioeconomic background and what you were exposed to as a young person. Your tolerance for this kind of corruption, a lot of it is how you were raised. And you go into the dog's original owner is an alcoholic party clown. Like, I don't know. how you could have worse socioeconomic circumstances than being raised as a youth by an alcoholic party clown. Party clowns by themselves are just evil.
Yes.
Like, has anybody ever said, you know what I want to do? I want to hang out with a birthday party clown. No. Birthday party clowns in particular are terrifying people to begin with. That's how they end up with that job. And then you throw in hardcore alcoholism on top of it. I don't care what project you were raised in, what gangs were hanging outside your home, what part of South Central Los Angeles you came from. It is worse to be the product of an alcoholic party clown than it is to any of them. I don't care how much crack got dealt on your corner. It's better to have that environment than to be the child of an alcoholic party.
What schlock beer is mixed in there? There's a couple of different cans.
And Budweiser, and I don't know the other thing.
What is it?
I think that might be Keystone with the blue and silver can, but I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure with the blue diamond there. But again, the main circumstance here is that the dog was raised by an alcoholic party. Like, if your owner is an alcoholic party clown, you're going to do anything, including shaving points in basketball games.
100%.
To get out of that environment.
A lot of fingers are being pointed, and some of this does seem irrefutable. Now, that's number 4. Number 3.
Let's take us to number 3, which is the middle section of the movie, where the junior high basketball team, their coach gets fired. And why does he gets fired by the PTA? And why does he get fired? Because he makes his son practice extra after a losing game, which that's not emotional abuse for a basketball player. That's the story of every coach's son who goes on to get minutes as point guard in Division I basketball. You think Saul Smith didn't have to shoot extra baskets after practices and games? I mean, get the hell out of here. You think the Boeheim kids didn't have to shoot extra baskets after games? And I've coached kids this age. Like, you can't get them away from shooting extra baskets. That's not emotional abuse. That's just normal coaching. But that's not the key point here, although it is suspected that, Josh's mom is part of the group that gets the coach fired for this alleged abuse. So maybe part of the ring, because what do they replace him with? The new coach is an ex-NBA player turned janitor. And everybody who's ever watched a sports movie knows there is nothing more powerful than a mentor or a new coach who is an ex-black athlete who has turned into a janitor. Like, that is the magic bullet for sports movies. Like, if you have in any movie a black ex-athlete who has turned into a janitor, he is absolutely going to inspire that person to go to an ultra elite level. So if you were a gambling ring who is looking to drive up the point spread on 6th grade basketball games, who would you install as a coach? I say you would go with an ex-NBA player who is in fact now a janitor. Like, that's the most powerful piece of evidence you can unlock, is like, because once you install that coach, the spread is going to go from like +4 to like -36.
You get Morgan Freeman
you put that kid in
later on.
You get an ex-NBA player who is now a janitor, and if he's black, even more so, because you saw Bagger Vance, right?
Yes, Bagger Vance. Yep.
Everybody knows there's nothing more powerful than a janitor who is a black guy who is a janitor, now termed junior high.
Former star player, right?
Point spreads there are just going to blow through the roof.
It's like the cutmen that were in the corner there at the Main Street gym in L.A., and they always had the picture of themselves when they were a star athlete. And you're thinking, well, what the hell happened, Whitey? Hey, Whitey, bring the bucket. I mean, that's where the guy is at that point. And yet they do seem to possess some wisdom and a very sympathetic, empathetic character. All right, so the new coach was a former Knicks player turned janitor. That's number 3. A lot of evidence here on the table.
And so what happens? The Timberwolves go on a huge winning streak once the janitor gets installed as the coach, and they are blowing teams out all the way to the state championship game, which I didn't even know they had state championships for 6th grade basketball, but apparently they do. And what happens? A player named Air only scores 7 points in the state championship game. Now, I know you're saying a few things here. You're saying, number one, Ken, It's a 6th grade state championship game. The final score was probably like 32-30,
Yes, that's a big
which
number.
is if you watch the movie, the final score in this 6th grade state championship game is 83-80.
Is that even a thing?
Which, number one, that tells you that the level of defense being played in this game was sub the NBA All-Star game. Like, kids are just running away from each other.
What was the over-under on it?
Man, if it's an average 6th grade state championship game, I feel like the over-under is like 80. Tops. 70 to 80, somewhere in there, in that range. And if they didn't name this dog, Bud Rodman. They didn't name this dog Bud Oakley. This dog was not a defense and rebounding player. He's named Air. That tells you this dog scores points by the pile. Yes. But in an 83-82 game, where the dog, by the way, never misses a shot, he only scores 7 points.
Jonte Porter all over again.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's right.
In an 83-82 6th grade basketball game, a player named Air only scores 7 points.
Yeah, that seems.
And again, never misses a shot. That tells you something funny was going on.
The dog's on fire
in this game.
And is reluctant to shoot. You got to be kidding me.
That's weird.
I mean, I don't know about you, but again, just the fact that the game's 83-82 tells me something very fishy is going on in this 6th grade basketball.
Rouses many suspicions, no doubt.
That seems borderline impossible, honestly. How long was the clock on this game? Like, did they play for 4 hours?
And they weren't playing running time like they usually do in 6th grade games where the ball leaves the gymnasium and goes out the door somehow, and the time's still going.
A total of 165 in a 6th grade championship game.
Yeah, that's great.
And a player named Ayer only scores 7 points.
All right, so how could this possibly be topped in terms of level of suspicion with number one?
Well, and here we go. Number one. They win the title game, and the alcoholic birthday clown comes back to try to reclaim his now famous dog, which, by the way, he does, in fact, legally own. And what happens? The judge decides to allow the dog to pick who he wants to own it. Naturally, the dog does not pick an alcoholic birthday party clown because who the hell would want to and picks the little kid who helps him fix basketball games, presumably because he wants to go collect a bunch of more gambling money fixing other sports, which he goes on to do throughout the course of the film series. And what happens? For absolutely no reason, the police haul off the alcoholic birthday party clown. All the clown has done throughout this movie is try to get his dog, who this little kid stole back. This little kid stole and then brought into a very clear point-shaving scheme involving 6th grade basketball teams led by a black former NBA player turned janitor. Now, you're going to say, why would they do that? Why would the cops arrest this party clown just because the dog picked the kid? Well, I would suggest this is exactly the kind of thing the FBI would do with a witness who they were trying to get to become a rat, who they knew had the goods on this dog. Like that, just grabbing the guy away if he had the nose, he was in the know about the gambling scheme, and hauling him off. This is exactly what the feds would do.
Jeffrey,
the feds would grab the witness and just take him to a secure location and get the information.
It's like when the jailer came over to Epstein and said, "Jeffrey, here's the rope."
Yeah,
right? Same thing in The Godfather, Frankie Pentangeli.
Well, honestly. It's the same thing that the feds did to Gilbert Arenas when they busted his poker game that he was running in his house, and he was like, "Oh, I've got the info on all these NBA guys." That's basically Gilbert Arenas getting hauled off by the FBI, and you're wondering why. That's why the cops grabbed the party clown for absolutely no reason at the end of the movie.
Holy James Comey! I mean, you came up with a beauty here, Professor.
I'm just saying,
clear cut.
Like.
Conspiracy.
It seems to me pretty strong evidence to launch an investigation into whether or not Air Bud shaved points in the state championship game.
Only scoring 7. That was the one that got me. You're right. And when the kid's on fire, the dog's on fire. Unbelievable. All right, Professor, excellent stuff.
Well, I mean, honestly, above scoring 7, that we're just going to randomly hire the janitor for no reason.
That move always works.
to become the new coach.
You would think that this Woodward guy would consider hiring the janitor instead of all of these high-priced buyout guys. All right, so we have. Let me see if I got this right. We have Tennessee over Oklahoma. We have Wake Forest
-3.5.
getting 10 and a hook from FSU. We have USC now laying only 4.5. Line really dwindling. I mean, that thing was at 6.5 last I saw it in Nebraska. USC in that one. And
Again, everybody's talking about this Lincoln Riley number, which I don't really think is that applicable in this situation.
yeah, you know me and trends. I don't know. I mean, if it goes back to 1922, what relevance does it have?
I'm not saying it's not. If he were playing at Maryland, I'd say it's a very valid thing to be, bringing up. But again, it's a night kick in Nebraska.
Here we go, man. I'm with you. Unfortunately for you, USC all the way. Let's go Trojans. All right. Always a pleasure, Professor.
And we got Cincinnati plus 10.5.
Cincinnati plus 10 and a hook. That's another beauty from the professor. So let's hope we prosper. I'll see you in a few minutes, Professor. I think I sent you the thing.
And under on the dog in any Air Bud move.
Exactly.
And all the prop bets, too. Professor, thanks for being with us. Lubie, always a pleasure. And we will see you later on out at Gulfstream Park. So that'll be fun. Are you coming down? You bringing Luca?
Luca won't be there, but I obviously
meet Luca Panici at his namesake. No,
one of these days he will meet the one and only Luca Panici.
All right.
That won't be today, but I will be there, and I'm excited to be back at 10 Palms.
Very nice, my friend. All right, we'll see you there, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you Monday, next edition of the show. For Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Professor, I'm Jeff DeForest. See you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.